Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do DIY Dollar Tree Hugs and Kisses crafts. We're going to do two of them. Both of them are going to need a glue gun as well as your scissor. But the first one, we're going to use these wooden letters from the Dollar Tree as well as some of the floral moss. I like the bright green one, or you could use reindeer moss, either one of those. I like the bright green one because it matches these floral moss stones that I got at the Dollar Tree. Now that's just an option. You can also use the zero. I was inspired by Jessica from Measure and Mix. I will link her video in the description box down below. But she actually made these as like a set. So one had an X, one had an O, and then one had an X. And then she used the O from the Hugs and Kisses, from the letters too. But I liked these floral moss stones. I got them at the Dollar Tree. I was so happy to find them finally, and I picked them up the last time I was out there. So this is just as simple as it looks, except what we're going to do, I didn't mention you needed, is we're just going to use some of these leftover floral wires. You guys know I save these floral picks that come with flowers on them. I save them for lots of different crafts. So we cut off two. They're about 6 or 7 inches long, and that depends on how long you want, how high over the pot you want your letters to stand. But what's different about this one is we're going to put both of them, an X and an O, in the one pot. So what I did first was I glued the one stem. I couldn't think of what to call it. I glued the one stem out the X, and I know that it's on an angle, but they bend very easily. And then I covered it all with moss, just so it would be blended in. It really wasn't very difficult to work around, I promise. And if you've never done this before, like we've covered lots of stuff with moss before, but what I do is I basically put a ton of glue on one side, glue the big chunk down, and then shake off what's ever extra, cut off whatever's extra. I cut around the X, and then it kind of makes like, almost like sawdust, moss sawdust or moss glitter. And then I put a bunch of glue on the other side and I dip it in the moss glitter, and that's how I get really good coverage. And then with this, I felt like there was a couple of spots along the edges of the X that I needed to fill back in with glue, and then just add more moss glitter. You can make this as full as you want or as trimmed as you want, you know, sort of like a bonsai tree. And then I just bent it straight, coming out of the one leg there. And now as far as the stone was concerned, they're kind of oval shaped, so I held it in the shape of an O. I stuck the stem underneath, and I'm just adding a tiny bit of this moss to it just to give it texture like the first one has. Okay? And then holding them next to each other, I'm twisting their stems together. I kind of wanted that twisted tree looking branch thing that you get sometimes with a bonsai tree. I've bent the bottoms down and then just stuck a whole lot of glue in the bottom of the pot. And to help it stand up as well as to fill in the bottom, I've taken some more of the floral moss. You could have not wasted, but you could have used like one of those stones down there, just to make it easier for you if you have any like hand manipulation issues. You could have glued the stone down there and stuck the two stems in the stone, but I just wanted to save them, so I just glued the bottom, stuffed it in with the floral moss, and then just the floral moss holds it in as well as the glue. Now it could be done here. You can take any of the varieties of ribbons that you have at the Dollar Tree if you wanted to jazz it up, but I'm just going to take a scrap of this black and white this black and white gingham that I got at the Dollar Tree. You guys have seen me use this in lots of projects. It is super inexpensive. I said Dollar Tree, but I meant Walmart. I'm so sorry. It's super inexpensive. $1.50 a yard at Walmart, or $1.97. I can't remember which, but it was cheap. And then I'm just taking that and I am tying a bow around it. Yes, I'm working upside down because a lot of times you'll get a pretty bow if you tie it upside down. I know that sounds weird. And then just adjust it as we do with all of our bows. Put your fingers inside the loops to make them even and puffy, like I'm doing there, and then just tie it tight, and then trim off the tails how you like them. If you even want them dovetailed or you just want them at an angle, I just went ahead and cut mine at an angle. And that's it. I really think it's super cute. And thank you, Jessica, for inspiring me to show everybody how to make it. All right. And here's how it looks. I'm just sitting next to my new love sign that I made yesterday. Okay, the next one we're going to use two willow wreaths from the Dollar Tree, a big one and a small one. We're going to use some flowers. This is this season spring berries, as well as this season spring, whatever that name is down there. It's hard to pronounce, I'm sorry. And we're going to use them both in white. And then you're going to pick ribbon of your choice. Of course, I'm going to go for the wire-edged burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree as well. So the first one, if you've been at my channel for a while, you know I showed this on Epic Fails last year for April Fool's Day, where I cut the large willow wreath apart to try to make an Easter basket. Well, I saved it because I don't throw anything out, and I knew there was going to be a purpose for it. But I found this inspiration on Pinterest. Somebody was selling it for like $90, and I was not about to spend $90. But what I did was the long stems, sometimes like the dogwood, have a brown stems. This is brown wire stems as opposed to green. So what I've done is I've taken one and I've cut it in half, and then we're going to create an X form. And because it's brown, it will blend into the willow really nicely. I've just taken some jute and I've wrapped it around in all different directions so that it won't move, and just secured it with a tiny bit of hot glue to keep the X from moving around. Okay, and then before I glue the jute to the wire stems, I want to measure it against the O, and I want them to be roughly about the same size. So after I have that form fit together, I bring the O out, and then I adjust the stems so that it is the same size letter as the O. I did pre-measure it, however, once I put it together, it ended up being much bigger, and I don't know why. Don't ask me. I don't know. But so just go ahead and trim them down. How I cut floral stems from the Dollar Tree or from anywhere, artificial florals, is I take the really close to the pivot part of the scissor, and then I run it around and score up all of the outside rubber plastic, and it also scores the wire, and then I bend it back and forth 2 or 3 times, and it snaps off very easy. There are lots of ways to cut the wire stems, but this I always found to be the very, very easiest. A lot of times when you use wire cutters, they're not sharp enough to cut through the plastic, just strong enough to cut through the wire. So that's just my tip. That's what I just do. Okay? So then after I have that, I've gone through my pile and I found the most straight pieces that are long enough to work as an X. And then what I did was I started building with the fattest pieces and built up towards skinny pieces. Sort of if you look at the willow wreath like in the circle, it sort of has like a combination of thin branches with thick branches with little tiny skinny vine-like branches. So what I'm doing is I'm building that as well. So a couple of layers I just left whole sticks, and I started to glue down to the jute and to wherever the wire would touch. And then as I started to layer it up, I started to break the sticks and actually not make them cross the middle. So I would do, say the one that was from top left to bottom right is a whole stick, and then from top right to bottom left is a half of a stick that butts up against that whole stick in both directions. And we did that so we don't want the center to be too thick. We just wanted it to make it as even as possible. All right, and I just repeated this until I got to the thickness that I wanted, as well as you guys get to the thickness you want. Okay, I kind of felt like I tried to make it mimic the O as best as possible. But here's the catch. We're going to cover them with berries and flowers, or whatever you guys choose to cover it with. So it does not have to be perfect, but these willow wreaths aren't perfect when you buy them at the store. You could tell that they're handmade, or at least they look handmade. So we're going to go with that as well. So I've just taken a couple of these really skinny vines pieces to end off with, and I've set some aside as well, because once I'm done putting the berries on, you can always add a little tiny bit of vine wreath here and there. Now I do wish, in full disclosure, that the berries that they had at the Dollar Tree were the little berries. They used to carry the little berries. I actually have quite a few numbers of the red ones. But I wanted to make this all in white to go with this neutral love decor that we're doing this year. Okay? So after I have the X the way I want it, just move it off to the side, and I'm going to clean up. And of course, I'm saving all those other pieces because there will be another project in my future. I can feel it. But with these berries, because they were the big berries, I didn't feel comfortable just putting the berries down. Like, I'll show you here, just like 1, 2, 3, 4. That to me just didn't look good. So what I actually did was I cut them apart into like little sprigs, and I tried to make them more spread out. So it would seem in perspective like it was a lot of little berries. I don't know if that's going to make any sense to you, but to me it looks more visually appealing than to have just slapped the whole branch of berries down. It also kept, by cutting them apart, it also kept it like closer to the X. It didn't pop out as much, like it didn't give it as much dimension. But what I did was I went inside to the branches, and you can kind of cut off the little berries. Sometimes the berries were stuck to themselves, just because of like glue and heat and paint and stuff, which was fine. You can see berries have popped up all over the place, but we're going to fill them in at the end. Plus, in full disclosure, it's winter time, and this is styrofoam, and there was more static cling than I even want to care about telling you. I kept having to shake the berries off my fingers. But in the end, it all worked out. Don't worry. Okay? And I'm just going to repeat with all 4. So what I tried to do was I tried to start at the center for each one and go towards the end. So the berries all kind of laid in the same direction. Okay? So it all started from the center and worked their way out. So what I did find, as you could see there, is I just cut a few off the back and then used them to make it a little longer. Glued the one whole piece down and then extended them into the center of the X. And I repeated that with all 4 sides. And then, like I said before, even though it was full of hella staticky. No, it was full of static cling, my room, or static electricity. I went ahead and I glued all those little beads left down wherever I found like a holiday or where it was a hole missing or something. All right, until I got it to the place where I liked it. And I want you guys to do the same as well. I want you to put as many berries, as little berries as possible. You can use flowers on this instead. Flowers would be super pretty as well. The inspiration piece just had berries, and it made me lean towards that direction. But the inspiration piece had pink and red berries. One was on the X and one was on the O, different colors. And it was very pretty, but again, I wanted to go with very neutral colors this year for Valentine's Day. All right. So once you get that where you want it and you've collected all your staticky berries from all over your table, we're going to go ahead and work on the O. All right. Set this aside. And with the O, this flower I actually saw from at the Dollar Tree, but Catherine from Do It on the Dime actually used the green portion of them yesterday, or not yesterday. In a video earlier this week. And when I saw them at the Dollar Tree, I was like, oh, I appreciate that the green things are cute, but I really liked the white flowers. I loved, first of all, I will tell you that they are little tiny styrofoam beads on there. So it actually does kind of bring in that berry feel. It does have that continuity, not just color, but also texture. But for this, what I've done is I've decided to lay the florals down all in the same direction. I've started to spread out the first 3 almost in a triangular shape. I've cut the very end of the green off so I don't have to worry about tucking it in too much and it won't show. And then once I've done that, I went ahead and I took the last 2 and I cut them up to fill in. Or actually, I filled in one because one was like really... The third one that I laid down, or the second one that I laid down, was really kind of sparse. So I took that fourth one, and filled it in. But then I'm going to take the last one, I'm going to cut it up, and I'm going to fill in all of the holidays or places where it just needs to be 2 layers. I really do love this. Actually, if they have more when I go back, I'll probably pick up some more just to have around. They were really, really pretty. Okay? That one was so easy, I told you guys. Even though it looks complicated, it's super easy. And I do have the video where I cut apart the wreath down below, but I literally just cut the wreath apart. Like, I untwisted it and I cut wherever it was like tangled together. But you could check that out on my channel as well. It was April Fool's Crafting Fails. All right, so now I've turned them both over and I want to glue the ribbon on the back. Again, this is an option. You can make these into topiaries. You can like rest them on a plate stand. You can do whatever you want with them, but I'm going to hang them on my door or on my wall. I'm not really sure. So I've taken one of the ribbons and I've kind of glued it down the center, a little bit off center actually, because I want to have double ribbons on this. So you see how that one is kind of a little off center. So now I'm taking the second ribbon and I'm just going to hold them up so that I can get them evenly distributed from the left to the right. I just found this to be a lot easier than trying to lay it down on top of the table. It's a big project and my perspective is off when you're sitting in the chair. All right, and I just basically just glued it, and just be patient and let the glue sit and dry before you try to work on it any further. So now I've taken the two ends of the ribbon and I've glued them together, and I've actually folded them under just to give it more like a more finished look and to give more support. This bow I had left over from the flower heart wreath that we made with the 3 different bow options, and I had it just laying on my desk. I took a strip of the leftover bow and I tied it around the middle, and then I glued it to that ribbon and then added a hanger. I did a double twist hanger just to give it more strength. And I also added dovetails to the bottom and made one ribbon a little longer just for an extra added bit of romance. And that's it. So I hope you really enjoyed these tutorials. I really enjoyed doing them for you. Don't forget to check out Jessica's channel. She's got some really neat ideas. I left her in the link in the description box down below. And don't forget to check out the vlog channel if you haven't. A link for that is also in the description box down below. We have lots of fun over there. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe, and when you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And share with friends and family, anybody you know might be interested in making one or both of these. I really would appreciate the love. And as always, you take care, God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye!